I wanted to ask you, Hassam, as a Liverpool fan, and I actually haven't spoke to any this week, strangely. So much has surrounded Liverpool this week with David Coote, the situation with him now being suspended. It looks like he's going to be sacked. The media are kind of defending him, calling, maybe it's not a sackable offence to call a manager a name and say a club's crap, to call a manager a xenophobic name. A lot of people are kind of doubling down and protecting the PGMOL, but a lot of fans of Liverpool, a lot of fans of Chelsea, a lot of fans of Arsenal, Man United, Forest are really pushing hard for him to lose his job and maybe bigger and greater change to happen to the PGMOL. I personally have an opinion they've been caught cheating in all of this, and I'll get to why later. But what's your take as a Liverpool fan on this?
I mean, when I first watched the video, I was like it just took me by shock. Like the fact that someone says this, being recorded as well. There is so much wrong with that video. First of all, allegedly, it seems like he is on something. You get me? Big up to Colombia's finest, Luis Diaz. But it seems like he is on something, allegedly. I don't know for a fact, but it's a possibility that he's on something. And second of all, when he says stuff like this, look, people always want to make this conversation black and white. This is not about blame your club, don't blame the referees. Talk about your clubs, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we all blame our clubs. But at the same time, the referees should at least give the illusion that they are like they have no bias. At least convince me when I'm watching a game of football that you're not biased. At least try your best as the judge to show me that you're not biased. And this right here is a problem for so many different reasons. First of all, the fact that he mentioned the nationality. That's something that makes it like a complete personal attack and something that's like a complete insult. There is a difference between me saying Mo's a fraud and then me saying Mo's an Egyptian fraud. Like those are two different completely things. Like you can't, when you mention someone's nationality, you're making that a point of emphasis. And as well, the fact that apparently for 2 years or 3 years after that, they didn't give David Coote any like ref official, like first referee on the football pitch for Liverpool in the Premier League. And that shows that someone somewhere knew about this and they hid this for the last 2-3 years and no one said anything about it until the video was released. And then when the video was released, all of a sudden the court of public opinion and blah blah blah, so there is nothing, they can't really defend it now because it's been made public. But the fact that they knew about this privately is an issue as well. And third of all, this opens up a can of worms for everyone. Michael Oliver and the Arsenal fans, Anthony Taylor and the Chelsea fans. We could go on and on and on with down the list of referees that have had bad decisions against certain managers or teams and stuff like that. And for me, look, we could sit up here and we could go like David Coote and refereeing Liverpool for the last 3-4 years. Let's go look at the bad decisions. We can mention, the stuff like the Pickford incident where he forgot that he could send the player off on VAR. We can mention multiple different things. But the reason why David Coote didn't affect Liverpool as much, because people use this as a false narrative in terms of the argument. Oh, look, David Coote was in charge of Liverpool for like 20 games and Liverpool won 18 of them. Yeah, because Liverpool are a good fucking team. So like that's why Liverpool won those games of football, not because of David Coote's excellence or his fraudulence. We won those games of football. But the problem is, here's the issue. A manager can't affect a referee's life. Meaning, Jurgen Klopp could sit there for 90 minutes, insult David Coote, say whatever the hell he wants about David Coote, but it won't really affect the outcome of David Coote's job or his life or whatever it is. But if David Coote feels the same about Jurgen Klopp, then he can affect the outcome of a game. Then he can affect what's happening on the football pitch. Then he can do these things that affect Liverpool negatively, that affect, stuff negatively. As we saw as an example in the Liverpool Villa game that just happened, the pull down on Mo Salah, they said it wasn't even a foul. Like it wasn't even a foul in the build-up. That could have been a red card right there. Thank God Nunes scored, or VAR wouldn't have checked it. And there's a lot of instances, the one with because I watched your video earlier on, the one where they told Danny Simpson, I want you to win the league, but I should have sent you off. The one where Mike Dean is talking about he didn't want to send off Cucurella because his mate was on the football pitch. There's so much shit that happens, and this all comes back.
The one on that video, which was being spoken about on Redmen TV, is I think it was Mark Halsey was told they made a mistake during a game, and he has now come out and admitted that the PGMOL told him to lie and say they didn't see the incident, they didn't notice it. And there's too many examples of that now.
Yeah, and that's why this all comes back full circle. We can all agree in the chat, except City fans, because they haven't had a major decision go against them that affected the game negatively. That's why LB was defending them. There's two people that defend this: City fans and City sympathizers. That's it. No one else really, because 19 other fans of other clubs come together and go like the refs are crap.
But can I ask you a question? Like, why do you think City fans and City sympathizers want to move on from this and are trying to defend this situation? What's their motivation, in your opinion?
Because the truth of the matter is they just want us to completely ignore the referees. Like, I'm not going to ignore the referee that has a significant impact on the game or on a title race or a title decider. Rodri handballed it away at Goodison and we lost the league by a point. These things could happen. Last season, I could go back and I can make the Premier League season about referees, because I can sit up here and I can talk about well done, lads, good process away at Spurs. And when Jota was sent off, and they apologized for that as well, I can talk about Doku switching music to McAllister in the penalty box when it was 1-1 at the time. And right in front of Michael Oliver's eyes, they didn't give that as a penalty. And the VAR checked it for like 3 minutes and didn't give it as a penalty. We could go on and on. Decisions affect the end results of games and the end results of question. That does not mean, one second, that does not mean, why do you think that you can't blame Mo? I'm in the middle of speaking. That does not mean that you cannot speak
you
about
keep assuming all of these are assumptions.
So when it comes to
all of these are assumptions.
So when it comes to the outcome of the title race, I can sit here and go like, Liverpool haven't done enough in the transfer window. Liverpool need to buy players. Liverpool need to do better. Liverpool need to show ambition. And at the same time, I can also criticize referees. Why do I have to do either or? Like, who said it's like a thing where, oh my God, it's either fuck the club, but the referees are allowed to do anything they want? I don't believe that.
This where I agree with you, I'm going to go to your second, Mo, is where I agree with you is people always you can take this down to individual games. When Spurs had that decision go in their favour when they played you the offside a season or two ago, last season it was.
Last season, yeah.
We all knew it was a robbery. We all knew it was a mistake. The amount of Tottenham fans in our comment sections, in our live chat, in my DMs, saying, fuck you, we didn't cheat. Like, bruv, nowhere in the video did I say you paid the refs. In fact, I made a specific point to state that Spurs have done nothing wrong here. Spurs shouldn't even be, other than saying it happened in the Tottenham game, they shouldn't even be referenced. The problem is tribalism. And even in the videos I've done on this, I would say 85% of the comments and messages I've received in Terrace, thank you for being balanced and speaking the truth as you see it, and including everybody, because everybody's impacted by this. But there's still a sort of 10, 15%. Why you mentioned Arsenal in this when it's about Liverpool? Why have you mentioned Chelsea in this when it's about Arsenal? Why do you mention Wolves when it's ain't nothing to do with Wolves, it's to do with Arsenal? It's like, because this isn't just about...
It's a bigger issue.
It isn't just about Arsenal getting robbed or Liverpool getting robbed or a referee slagging off Klopp or a referee saying that he didn't send the Leicester player off because he wanted them to win the league. It's the wider ramifications. It isn't happening to just one club. And every time, whether it's people wanting it shut down because they think that their club's being attacked, or they want to be the sole victim of the situation, that tribalism is what, in my opinion, creates this huge safety net or kind of shield, if you like, for the PGMOL. And if we allow football fans to make this about themselves and not the wider issue, the media will stop listening, because they'll go, let them fight over there in the corner. Remember that show, that bum fight show that years ago was famous, where some dudes used to pay like people, like homeless people, to fight on the street? That's how we're viewed as a couple of bums over there fighting over nonsense, as opposed to focusing on the real potential issues at hand. That's why, for me, it's important for us to not attack any individual club. And I even think City are getting attacked too much in this. And I think it's wrong, because I think this is about football fans coming together. And one day, City may not be as formidable as they are right now. You've got to remember, in English football history, there's only been 2 or 3 other teams in 150 years that have been as dominant as City have been in the last 8 years. Liverpool did it twice. United did it twice. But 3 clubs, essentially, right? Which means the likelihood is, for the next 50, 60, 70 years, City might not do this again. If they're suddenly even just 10 points worse each season, or they level the playing field, suddenly a few refereeing decisions here and there are going to tip the balance, and they're going to start to feel differently about these situations. So, look, I think everybody's got to come together on this. But sorry, Mo, you were about to say something.
No,
mate.
I'm not going to go in a monologue like Hussam and everything. Hussam, I want you to land your point because you didn't land, actually. You just said a bunch of things, which might be true. There might be corruption. There might be bias, as you said. There might be personal preferences, which is something that it happens in football. I don't believe that anyone does this on purpose. I believe it's an unconscious bias because someone hates someone. That happens in every professional sport, but there's no solution for it. Why do you think, Hussam, there is a bias against a club or two?
I think there is a solution.
By the way, I'm not trying to put you in a corner. I actually keep thinking about it while you're talking.
No, you can't.
Can you stop? I don't know the answer to this.
Okay, I'll tell you the answer. Look,
yes.
Here's the thing. I think across history, usually the most dominant team will probably get the most decisions gone their way in every league around the planet. Now, what's changed in the last 10 years is the existence of VAR. Now, because there is video assistant referees, you can't get away with the bullshit. You can't get away with you changing your opinions week in, week out. Prime example, Akanji last season, it was 0-0, Manchester City against Fulham. I was watching the game. Fulham were in it, blah, blah, blah. Akanji was jumping in front of the Fulham goalkeeper, put his leg out towards the ball, attempted to actually change the direction of the football. He was in an offside position and the goal was given. Week after, someone is dancing in front of Onana, goal given. Inconsistencies. It was the Crystal Palace game, right?
So is it corruption or inconsistencies?
Wait. So when it comes to this problem that we're addressing, first of all, I said, even if you do have bias, even if you are biased secretly, you must at least create the illusion in the world, in the mind of everyone, that you are unbiased. I, watching a Bournemouth-Ipswich game, must feel that the ref is unbiased. Forget top six. Me watching Reading versus Crystal Palace, I should think that the referee is unbiased, regardless of what he subconsciously thinks. Because I'm not going to go into his heart or his soul and go like, yo, are you unbiased or not? But he must at least create that for the people. And the differences between the managers and us as fans and the refs is the ref can control the outcome of a game. We can't. I can call David Coote every name under the sun. That's not going to affect his decision on the weekend. But if David Coote feels a certain way about a certain Liverpool player or a Liverpool manager, he can affect the outcome of a game negatively. Now, the reason why he wasn't in that position is because they took him out of Liverpool games for 2 years, 3 years after that. And on top of that, as I stated earlier on, when you're a really good team, most of the time you will win. But when it comes to significant moments, once again, Odegaard handball, Rodri handball, Doku switching music to McAllister, the Spurs decisions, there is a significant amount of decisions that the refs get wrong. Now, the solution to this is, first of all, mic up the referees. Second of all, let them do interviews after the games where they explain their decisions, because we interview Klopp, Maresca, whoever, after a game and go like, yo, why did that happen? Why did that happen? So refs have to do the same thing. And on top of that, introduce a stricter, harsher relegation and promotion system. It's there right now, but it's not implemented as strong as it should be. Meaning, if a referee is affecting significantly negatively the outcome of a football game, or he makes a series of bad decisions, he must be relegated to the Championship or relegated to League One, and bring in the best referee in the Championship to the Premier League so he can have that opportunity to deliver on the big stage. So there is always solutions to all these things, and that's just the truth of the matter. So for me, this just shows that the unconscious bias that we all know deep down existed has been presented in the public eye as evidence.
Can I just say as well on this? I think that it isn't just, so Gary Neville was saying, I haven't read what he said yet thoroughly, but reportedly said something along the lines of, I don't think what David Coote said means that he can't do his job professionally. And that's a fair take if David Coote's video was in isolation, but it isn't. The level of inconsistency in decisions has had us as football fans asking questions for a long time. How can they be this incompetent? And it gets to a point where you think, surely they can't be this stupid. Is something else at play? Then you hear, and I've gone back over the last decade to find these things. Graham Poll, ex-referee, I think he currently works at the PGMOL, called out Mark Clattenburg when he sent off Ander Herrera against Man United and said, and I quote, his words were, Clattenburg will not give decisions to clubs whose fans give him abuse. So Man United fans giving it. This is what a colleague of his said. You won't get nothing out of Clattenburg if your fans are having a pop at him. Gary Neville then quote tweeted that. This was in 2016 and said, this is Ritz coming from Graham Poll, who once told Man United players in a referee player briefing that he holds grudges against players the next time that so a player calls him a CUNT on the pitch, the next time he plays against him, will look to get the player back. We've seen Mike Dean state that he didn't want to send Cucurella off because he didn't want his friend on the field of play to get any stick. We've seen referees admit that PGMLO has told them to lie about mistakes. Danny Simpson has said that referees didn't want to send Leicester players off because they wanted them to win the league. So I think there is enough anecdotal evidence from the referees themselves that there is sometimes lies, potential corruption, and bias that can be at play. The video, I think, is a further piece of evidence that they harbor real deep disdain for some of the people that they referee. So I'm not stating 100% this proves that every single referee is biased at all times, but I certainly believe it exists at too frequent a level. And there was a comment